Good morning, guys, and welcome to iPad Smart. Just a quick run through. I think it's easier maybe just to share my thoughts like that rather than typing it out on a race by race basis. So let's start off in the first. You'll see the notes here at the bottom. Sam C have been winning most work riders, so any of them, especially first timers, must be respected. And he does have a first timer in the form of Double Joy here with Sam Masia at 3.5, so definitely have to respect any market support on this one. The others that I am interested in here is the Greenie, which is Mustango, one of two for Fabian Hubbard. It's also a joker. And why is it a joker? If we click here and we open it all up to toggle all the history, you can also just choose your 42 days, 84 days, 168 days, etc. But once we've opened it up, you'll see that on Fabian Hubbard, he has also got a share, or the Hubbard family has also got a share in this horse, and that's why that little joker sign is there. And then Machignani is hot. And why is he hot? And the reason for him being hot is a 50% record on the track. So yeah, quite a decent record. So one of two for Fabian Hubbard. That's why you see that little number 2 there. If you look at the P stats here, a 41% chance from the last 86 races at Turffontein Inside 1400 Class S. 41% of those came from this category, which is the opening betting. So opening betting is the strongest one in this category. And if we look at what's the strongest for a top 3 place, we see 75% on opening betting. So also the strongest on is watching the market in this specific race. So this is a Pomodoro, numerous, and Fabian Hubbard doesn't have the greatest of season. He's at 8% wins and 25% places. He's currently 54th in the country. And looking at him here, he has a decent chance. There's still a bit of playing around on the actual merit ratings here of the horses. And you'll see on his latest, he is a 68 merit rating. And if you look further down here, there's a 51 on Dame Colleen, 45 here on Batik, etc. But anyway, if you look at the actual bat figures, the purple horse, or the purple line that you see there, is the best line for the same conditions as today. So the same track and the same course and within 51 meters of the same distance. And that makes Mustango the one based on that, the best line bat horse here. And you'll see that minus 4.56 when he's done the Turffontein is that minus 4.56. So there's a little bit more ability over the 1160. It seems he prefers a little bit shorter, but he does have a 1450 of 13.29, and he does have the 1600 here at a 9.49. Which was the record why he is the best line bat, the one with the 0 there. The reason why that minus 4.56 is because there's a red minus 4.56 for the ability outside of the range, and that's why it's in red, because it's outside of the distance range. So I'm going to go with one of the fortune runners to actually win this. And the pure reason for being is because Ashley Fortune has quite a strong runner in the very next. So I'm going to go with Herzogi as my first choice, and then Mustango, and then probably the first time a Double Joy, and then the other Ashley Fortune horse, Ultimate Iktu. Now, looking at Ultimate Iktu, is actually very, very close to Herzogi as well. So but Van Staden did win the previous Appy or Work Riders race, so that's why I chose Herzogi, because I'm sure Mr. Fortune also noticed that he has the better stats and is the better rider. You'll see for the trainer, he's got a 50% win and a 50% place, so that's pretty decent. And Duba has not run for for Mr. Fortune yet, and in life Mr. Duba has a 3% winning, where Mr. Van Staden only has a 1.77% winning. So Ultimate Ukma has also got a better place from Duba, 15.9 on Van Staden and 23 on Duba. Be that it is may, I'm still going to go with Herzogie as my first choice. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ultimate Ik2 wins, because you can see he's backed 11.32 versus the 14.73 over the same purple 1450 Turffontein Inside, and that's the purple bat that we're referring to. When it turns purple, it's the same course and the same distance, or within 50 meters of the same distance. And then, then the rest is probably just running for places. So the only ones that I can see winning this is the two Fortune runners, the first timer, and Mustango. So Mustango, Ultimate Ik2, Herzogie, and Double Joy. The rest will be running for places. Moving over to the second race, and this was the reason why I actually go with Fortune to start off with a double for the day. You can see the extensions are pretty strong here on Jaimala. He does have the best bat here, and let me just close this again to start with a nice summary of the day before you get into the detail. You see on the bat 42, he's the only one that had run in the last 42 days, and that was on the 4th of August. If you hover over it, you'll see the 4th of August. And if you look at the 84 days, that run, the zero was 9 lengths, 9.41 lengths better than the next best. And it's also the purple bat, so it's also the one within today's distance and within on the course. It is the favorite, and Jaimala, based on that run, should be the one to beat in this race. I do think that Mr. Pettigrew will also be trying for a double today. I just don't think it's in this race. It might be with a first timer coming later. But yeah, race 1 and 2 is probably the Fortune double that I'm looking for. If you look at this 2000 Vol Classic, when Peterson was riding, backed in 2.25 to 1.7, and that's where the zero comes from. Ryan Munger didn't get the same. Maybe that was because it's the Turffontein. But looking at the Turffontein, is 7.31 here. And then also the 2000 Turffontein with Ryan Munger at 2.78 here. And there's nothing else in here that can actually get close to those two records of 0 and 2.78. So I'm going to go with Jaimala as my first choice here. And as my second choice, it's probably between Bold Fortune and Out of the Darkness, but second base has got a 8.96 on the 800 as well, Turffontein, which is pretty decent. On the Turffontein Inside, it was the best bat CD, that 19.56 lengths worse than the actual industry standard of a Pinnacle Stakes at Turffontein. So it's not a very strong field. The closer you get to 0 on that, the closer it is to the industry standard. So those 4 horses is really the 4 horses that will run the quartet here for me, and that probably be in the form of Jaimala, Bold Fortune, or Out of the Darkness, and then second base. So yeah, Jaimala by the other 3, by the other 3, by the other 3 for your trifectas. Let me just see if there's any collateral form here. Most recent collateral form, Imperial Ruby distance, so that's not going to help us. The 1800 TFI, 54.5 kilos, now 1.5 more to 56, and second base now 2 more. So second base will still be ahead of Imperial Ruby based on that 1.8 to 7.3 there. And here's another one, Bold Fortune, second base and Imperial Ruby. Again, Imperial Ruby behind second base. So I think Imperial Ruby is your banker for 5th spot. Moving on to the third race. And I must admit, I'm not so strong on the greenie here, and the only reason for that is because of, I believe that it might be the start of Mr. Pettigrew's double year with Iron Sky. He has conveniently put Iron Sky in here, what a winter, and good record here, Stuart Pettigrew on the track, 33% win, an additional 60% place, so he pretty much places all his horses at this track. And with Mr. Simons, he has a 20% win and an additional 60% place. So yeah, when Stuart Pettigrew comes to Turffontein Inside track, he is expected to be in the places, in the top 4. And for that reason, I'm going to stick my head out and say Iron Sky is probably going to beat Burgess, but Burgess is the greenie. It is a St. John Grey. It is the only runner for St. John Grey. That's why that one is there. You can see it's got a joker because it's an owner and a trainer, St. John Grey. And it does, for the first time, funny enough, has Caden Brewer on top of it, which has a 10% win and a 50% additional to place on the runner. Looking at the P-stats at the top here, it says 41% as well to the favourite, which is Pragmatist. And Pragmatist was backed in from 33 to 25, but he didn't perform on that 16 bat. If you look at the bats here, that's also in red. And therefore, I don't think he's going to be improving enough to make up that difference. The line bat horse, or the purple bat horse, is actually Phantom of the Forest here. So he should be in the mix as well, based on the same conditions, the same track, the same going, and the same distance. So for me, the first time Iron Sky is the one, and then Burgess will try and beat him as the only runner for Grey, and a joker, so that he can also get the stakes money as the owner and the trainer. So those two is the first two choices for me, with then the next best will probably be something to the tune of the actual favourite, Pragmatist, for the improvement there in third, and Phantom of the Forest here with the blinkers fitted and some further improvement. One of two runners for Joey Soma coming back from a rest, and Mr. Zaki has only got 3 rides for the day, and he puts gear change on this one, and it was backed in at the same course, 1450 TFI, from 14 into 4.5, so that's a bit of a sign that it could have expected more the last time, but it is drawn at 10, so yeah, that's a little bit of a concern for me. And then the other one I want to mention is the Carnello Shailen Naidu. I've made a note at the bottom here that's really interesting as far as Shailen Naidu is. Always respect when an only runner, irrespective of the racing, all of the ratings, always upset potential. He's done it too often. So, so those 5 is the 5 that I'm actually interested in. The first timer, Iron Sky, then Burgess, Phantom of the Forest, Pragmatist, and Carnello. Moving on to the 4th. And here, I know there's a swing on the collateral form between White Fang and Arlington Action, and that's cool. And Mr. Zaki's also got only Arlington Action for the day. But just my input on this is, if I'm just simply looking at the exact course and the same exact distance, in other words, all these blue bat 22,600 Turffonteins, I'm looking at bats here of 21, 18, 10, nice 10, and a 20. But Arlington Action, I'm looking at 31, 26, 25, and then White Fang, I'm looking at 16 and 13. So that's good. It's the second and the third best after this 10.91 here for Flying First Class. So I'm going to go with Flying First Class, even though there is a changing weight, to still be able to pull it off. And how do I know that changing weight? You'll see on the 2022 0716 here, Kumala was riding, and White Fang was 1.7 behind Flying First Class, and now is 2 kilos worse off, and Mr. Flying First Class here is 4 kilos worse off, from 51.5 to 55.5. So there's a 2 kilo swing for 1.5 lengths beating. The reason why I'm still going with Flying First Class is purely because that bat was a 21.22 bat, so there was more in the tank on that 10.91 run, where White Fang hasn't showed me a 10.91 run yet, so I'll stick him into second as my second choice here. And my third choice, I'm going to go with something like Flag Bearer here. He did actually quite enjoy that 2,400 when he did a 12.48. He's also done a 2.27 over the 2,000, and he's done some other really good bats here, all in red as well, outside the actual distance category. This 0.94 is a potentially very big risky, and Mr. Nathan Klink gets on board again, which did run second on him the previous time. Its owner and trainer, Mr. Bronkhorst, Mr. F. Bronkhorst. That's why that little joker is there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Flag Bearer tries his utmost best to actually also pull this off. He doesn't have hidden form though, because you'll see his merit rating has gone from a 58 all the way up to a 66. And White Fang has gone from a 65 all the way up to a 87. And Flying First Class has gone from a 68 to a 78. So it doesn't look like there's anyone here with hidden form that can come and surprise us. Well, hidden form because we call it untraining, or trainer gets paid to not train the horse and drop the merit rating. Kind Judy is scratched, Offrod is scratched, and there's no such risks here, at least. So yeah, I'm going to go with Flying First Class by White Fang, by Flag Bearer, and then Arlington Action. Moving over to the 5th race, and here interesting to note that Mr. Fortune is top rated with Outlaw and also second rated with the stable jockey Ryan Munger on Up the Irish. Up the Irish has also got the best overall ranking here. The 0 that you see, that the block here, also has the best bomb roll, 42 days, 84 days, 168 days, as well as the last 42 days bat figure. Now, how do we get a bat figure? It's to adjust the bomb roll figure with its adjusted time for that run. So it does have the best bat figure as well, 7.77 lengths. If you just click on the top here, it'll sort it like that, 7.77 versus stablemate 10.17. So the race is really for Fortune and Fortune to sort this out. Both of them at a nice price, 8.5 and 7.5. So maybe a nice little hedge for me. Even if one of the two wins, you still make decent money, and they're both above 100% to place top 3 as well. So not a bad little effort like that. The favorite is Cold Hard Stare, but the thing that I don't quite like of the Cold Hard Stare is he's coming from a very long rest. And when he did that rest on the 19th of May, he was very much backed in from 4.5 to 1.65. So yeah, they were expecting it. And he now goes up in trip by 300 meters. So if he likes it, he could probably also win this. So you have to put that into the exotics. But I'm going to stick with Outlaw as my first choice and Up the Irish as my very close second choice, because if I open up the detail on these two, you see the 10.17 on the 1450 on the Vol Classic, and also the Turffontein Inside 1450 is 7.77, which is better for Up the Irish. So got a slight preference here for Up the Irish, which is also the stable jockey. But Outlaw is a spring chicken with that little green one there, so he's only on his 5th run. So potentially he can just run past his stablemate. Hubbub did win on him the last time, and starred in 1 year, so Munger is back up again. So I'm going to go with Up the Irish and Outlaw as my first 2, and then Cold Hard Stare as my next one, and then Mix the Magic, which is a red horse, untrained, like has been a 68 at some stage, and is now down to a 58. So I'm going to throw him in there, and then Java House, Roy Magner and Danielson. The blinkers comes off today, and you'll see he did have a nice second when the blinkers were off the previous time. So there's a potential there for him trying a little bit harder with Roy Magner, only 2 for the day, and but he doesn't have the bat figures to actually compete. If you're looking at these bat figures here with the 7.77 from Up the Irish or the 10.17 from Outlaw, I'm going to stick to those 2. Dancing Dora is one that probably has to be thrown in, and the reason being for that is because he does flash here on the 1200 TFI. Today is a 1450, so he hasn't showed me that he can do the 1450. Previous 1450 drifted from a 25 to a 40, and he made a 41 bat, which is way worse than the 7 bat. So I'm going to stick with Up the Irish and Outlaw, with the favorite as my first 3 runners here, and then probably Java House and Mix the Magic, and then Angel's Wish, only runner Mowing, only Mark Khan as well, and the speed record of above 100, very fast. Moving on to the 6th And this is probably the best bet of the day on Captain Peg. I think his biggest danger is potentially the red one, Princess Philippa, the stablemate. And this is where we could potentially see problems or surprises, where the stablemate makes a surprise return to the winning enclosure. You'll see the 1400 he did win previously. He was some serious support on when he started 1.8 to 0.9 to 3, and he then drifted, and his merit rating has sufficiently been hidden now to get to a 73. He was once an 83. So any moment now they're going to start heating back. They have the form, they're just not showing it. You can see the bat figures here, 11, 9, and then it went as if he instructed it not to run, 16, 20, 28, 20, 19. Today might be the time for it to come back. I'm still thinking Captain Peg, though, because there's no joker on this Princess Philippa, so there's no stakes money on Princess Philippa winning, but there is stakes money on Mr. Pettigrew winning as co-owner for Captain Peg. So I'll make that my best bet for the day, with the only danger being Princess Philippa. For the pick six, one of those two will win that leg. Then moving on to the 7th race, and in the 7th we clearly have a Hoodalakis infiltration here. When I look at the overview of this, I see Hoodalakis with Peyton's Tears, and I see Hoodalakis with Watahani here. I know Golden Aspen is the top rated, but the intentions to use the form is not so much with Golden Aspen as it is with Lucky Hoodalakis, who is first for the day with a joker here on Peyton's Tears. And to make that even interesting, it's only 100% owned, and therefore he can decide when and where. And he does bring Kumalo, 33% chance to win, 66% chance to place. And it's a red horse. Now, look how red it was. He's sufficiently untrained, this horse, to become an 83 merit rating from a 94. That's 5.5 kilos he's gained, making his probability to score so much better. So any moment now, you can see his very last run was the line bat horse. So that's sufficiently good enough for me to say Peyton's Tears is going to be my first choice. And my second choice is going to be the stablemate that has the bat 42 form. The reason why it's Peyton's Tears, though, if I look at specific the distance of the day, the 1450, I see Peyton's Tears has a 1650 here for 4.3 on his previous huge improvement here, and he's also got a 7.88 for a 1600. But Watahani did that over the 1200 or 3.36, and he's never come close to that on the 1400. So therefore, I haven't seen that Watahani can do the additional distance, and therefore I'm going with the 11 to 2 Peyton's Tears. That's red and owner trained rather than the one that's not owner trained. So that's my scene. The others to consider, definitely only runner, Golden Aspen is the top rated from the algorithms perspective, so definitely needs to be considered. And then has also won over the course and distance with Marco on board at a 13.33. At 13.33 is not quite as good as the 4.3. And then Rosa Prima, the other one for me in this race, 13.63, very close to Golden Aspen. I think those are the main contenders in this race, but things like Warship, 1 of 3 for Candace, could make a huge improvement. It's been on a bit of a rest, but that was a poly run, so I haven't seen that on the turf. And Lucy in the Sky gets Gavin Larena on board. The last time was over 1160 when he did that 7.7, so I haven't seen that. So I'm going to stick with those first 4 as my first choices. And the very last, this is potentially the lucky double, and also why I'm looking at the lucky for the 2 together. But the one that I'm actually really concerned about here is the Sean Terry horse at 16 to 1. And let me just open all of these for you. And the reason being is that it's another red horse and another joker. Now, jokers, red horses, they come and spoil the party so often. Sean Terry's got only this interest in this race. He's got Hydrangea, which can be anything because it's changed off stables, but he's got the best 25.6 here, and then he has got Duel at Dawn, which has done some 13, 16, 14 here, and has dropped in a merit rating to a 65. He also got an additional 2 kilos bonus the last run. Maybe he spoke to the handicapper, but from an 83 he's now a 65, so that gives you 18 merit rating points or 9 kilos to play with. This horse never lost his form. He won the previous time at 83. Now he's got the opportunity to win from a 65 with 8 kilos less. 16 to 1, lovely. It's a joker, so instructions on when to win. Sean Terry Racing, P2I Limited. So yeah, do put some money on Jewel at Dawn today. You'll see some really good figures here that supports it. As the merit rating was dropping from 83 all the way to 69, you can't leave this horse out. Others to consider is Just Be Nice, Candice's other runner, with Keegan now booked for the ride. He was improving over the course and distance previously. The stablemate at 33, Hydrangea, must run very well, but has done some flashes of being better. And then, of course, the Lucky Hoodalakis potential double, which is the top-rated Fantasy Flower. So, yeah, Fantasy Flower and Jewel at Dawn to fight out the race, followed then by Just Be Nice and Stolen Thunder and Hydrangea. Little Miss Sunshine, only Adamson, only Greyling. Does have some drop in merit rating as well by 17, has won before, but the bats doesn't support the surprise today, so I'm going to say not today for that runner. Neither does Fascinada or Reach to Reef. Has some flashes here in red outside the distance category, but the moment it went to 1600, or the one time it was at 20. West Point, Ashley Fortune will have a decent day today. He's also been untraining this horse while the owners has been paying the bill, from a 78 to a 64, most recently a 63. So it's about time for him to start showing really how hard he has been training, because he is improving here 17-17. So maybe throw that into the back end of your pick sixes. And then Reach to Reef, 1600 vol as well. You can look at the collateral form at the bottom here, but another one that is consistently just outside of what is expected here as true form to actually win this race. So expected as true form to actually win this race does bring me back to the 10.13 on the links here. Best bat C, best line bat Fantasy Flower. That 10.13 was when Woozy was on. It was over the 1600. There was some support, 25 into 14, 12 into 6. A little bit of a question mark because it went from a 67 to a 58, so there's 4.5 kilos in there that's potentially either hidden or potentially lost. So that's a little bit of a concern, and therefore I'm going to say do take note of this little Jewel at Dawn. Terry's only runner, joker. JP gets the ride. Previously at 83 was winning easily. Actually second 1-1 and then disappeared until needed, and today might be the time when needed. That's it from me, guys. I hope that helps on reading the form and understanding the form a little bit better, but yeah, it comes with time. In my case, 28 years. Have a great day.